Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm PTT. We're actually on my free-to-play account today, only because it's Clan Boss time and I can't be doing Clan Boss and making this video. And if you can probably tell, I'm trying really hard not to smile. I'm super excited for what's just launched and what's just been announced. A game that I love playing is Monster Hunter Worlds. I play it on Xbox, I play it on Steam, PlayStation. I played it everywhere because I love the game, and Monster Hunter are doing a crossover with Raid Shadow Legends, and that is super exciting. For me, that is super exciting because something they do really well is make their champions look good. And yeah, the champions look good. It does worry me as well, and we'll talk about that later on. I am worried that Plarium are going to do Plarium things and our bank balances aren't going to like the next few months of Monster Hunter content if we want to get the champions. If you're not worried about them, then it's not going to bother you. But we'll cover it all in this video. We'll talk about the new champions. We'll go through what's coming up with them because some of them are really, really cool. But to start off with, we've got the Rathalos Chase. So this is the Blade Master. Okay, we get him after 7 days of logging in. That's all you have to do is literally log into the game for 7 days and you will pick him up. I'm going to make sure that I do this on my referral accounts like I am with this one, just because it will make leveling to 50 and past 50 a lot easier. So look, the free login, the Rathalos Blade Master, okay, he's a Bannerlord champion, he is the login champion, looks super cool. Again, if you've played Monster Hunter, you will know the Rathalos, he is basically a dragon, and that is the aesthetical look they've gone for here, but they've kept the Bannerlord look to it. I don't know, personally, he looks cool, but I don't know if I'd have dropped him in the Bannerlord just because I don't like the chainmail armor plate steel that goes with it. I think the way they've done some of the others looks a hell of a lot better, especially the barbarian ones, but we'll cover those when we get to them in a minute. I'm getting excited and ahead of myself because I've already seen them. Look, A1 attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a 60%, so the big version of decreased defense for 2 turns. If the target is a boss, the debuff cannot be resisted. So look, he's an attack based champion. Okay, the way I would be building him is with no accuracy. I wouldn't worry about the decreased defense in PvP from him. I would be using someone like a Lydia or a Madame to place that, but then you do get it from him on bosses for PvE, which means you then have an extra slot. It's a weird one. It is a kind of counterintuitive one, but it's cool. You know, you've got a chance to land it. It goes up to, what, 65% chance when you've booked it. It's probably going to hit hard because he's an attack-based champ. A2 attacks one enemy. Every second use of this skill in a round will attack all enemies instead. This may not be a PvP thing, but that's going to be very good for PvE. We'll also include 25. We'll also ignore 25% of the target's defense. If the target is a boss, we'll ignore 100% of the target's defense. So you get an AOE hit that in PvE is going to ignore either 25 or 100% of the defense. In PvP, it's going to ignore 25%. You throw that together with something like Savage or Helm Smasher or some of the other masteries, because I forget what some of them are. You know, this thing's going to hit hard. Plenty of crit rate, plenty of crit damage, plenty of attack. Yeah, you know, this should be pretty cool. In fact, we're looking at him as a level 1 because we're looking at him through here. If we go into our index and do it, we will get a better look at his actual stats. There he is. So you can see, look, 1400 on the attack. So it's going to scale pretty well, these scale off attacks. So I think the multipliers are going to be good. All this ignored defense with something like Savage, all the new Merciless gear that's kind of busted. I think that's going to be pretty good. Then we've got an attacks all enemies before attacking places a 30% increased crit damage buff and a 30% increased speed buff on the champion for 2 turns. Really cool, more damage. You know, we see Genbo and we see Mishold and things do something similar, or in fact the increased crit damage is exactly the same. Drops down to a 3 turn with the damage, only a couple of books. I like the fact that the books aren't crazy. So yeah, I think he's going to be a good champion. Passive wise, inflicts 50% more damage against targets under HP burn, receives 25% less damage from enemies under HP burn. Every 5th skill used by this champion deals 200% more damage. So look, that is a PvE skill, obviously. I don't see Arena 3v3, maybe live arena, but I don't see the majority of PvP stuff going past, using a skill 5 times, unless it's maybe the A1. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But look, you could pair him really well with someone like Artak. But for something like Hydra, he could work really well with a champion like Artak. You place the HP burn out there, you're going to increase his damage, and you're going to receive less damage. Pretty cool. I like him. I think he's a very solid champion. And for a 7-day login, yeah, happy days. Next up, we've got Zinogre Blademaster. He is the Shadowkin. Where have you gone? There she is. So, she is the fusion fragment summon that is coming up in a couple of days' time. She looks absolutely amazing. And she's a perfect example of how they've tried to take bits from the game, not just the look of champions, but the actual mechanics of some of the Monster Hunter things, and put them as best they can into Raid. Okay, so look, she's carrying dual weapons. That gives her a lot of extra hits and things like that in Monster Hunter, so that's what they've carried over. She has triple hitters, she has quadruple hitters times 2, and then a really cool passive. So she is going to be the champion, either a fusion or fragment summon. I'm not sure what one she is yet, because they haven't told us, or at least at the time of me recording this, I don't know what it's going to be. I'm really hoping it's going to be a fragment, because they're easier in my opinion than the fusion ones. Fusion ones cost a lot more energy. After having Tormin and Blizzard through December, I'm resource broke, so I would love it to be just a standard fragment, and then I could probably get her, even if it means spending a little bit. So look, A1, triple hitter, has a 30% chance of placing a weaken. Cool. I like when these have got things like this on their triple hitters, because there's a very good chance you're actually going to place it. Then we move into the double quad hitters. It goes down to a 3-turn cooldown. Attacks one enemy 4 times. Each hit increases the champion's turn meter by 5%, and it places increased speed buff on all allies. All allies for 2 turns. So increased speed, increased turn meter, quad hitter. Again, she's an attack champion. We'll have to wait for the multipliers, but she's got good base attack. I think that's probably going to scale pretty well, and we're going to get some good damage out of her. Moving on to the A3, attacks one enemy 4 times. Again, before attacking, places a 50% increase attack. So again, we're getting more damage out of her, and that lasts for 2 turns. It goes down to a 3-turn cooldown. The first and second hit each have a 100% when booked chance of placing a leech. That lasts for 2 turns. Again, 3-turn cooldown. The third and fourth hit each have a 100% chance when booked of placing decreased attack debuff for 2. So basically, you build her right, you book her out, you're going to give yourself increased attack. You're going to place 100% chance of placing the leech and the decreased attack. What does that mean? It means you're going to hit harder. When you hit harder and that leech is on, you're going to heal yourself for bigger numbers, and you're going to make sure that they hit you less with decreased attack. That's why I think this is a solid kit without going into the passive. Okay, passive effect. Increase the damage this champion deals by 1% for every 1% of HP loss, stacks up to 50%. This increased damage doubles if a target is under a decreased defense. Bring in someone like a Lydia or a Madame, you're laughing. I have anything PvE, I have decreased defense out. Anything PvP, I try to have decreased defense out, so that is going to help. The active effect prevents this champion's death and keeps them alive on 1 HP when hit by a fatal hit. If the skill prevents this champion's death, heals them by 50% of their max HP. Will not prevent this champion's death if they're under a heal reduction debuff. Again, if you bring something like a block debuffs, then you take this out of the equation, because they will not be able to land a heal reduction on you. You get that 50% max HP heal. Pretty cool. I think she is a solid champion. She also gets the 30% increased speed in dungeons. I think she is designed very much as a boss killer like Whisper, and for things with finite in mind. So I'm really, really happy. I am going to go for her. I originally wasn't. I was going to say I'm resource dry, but I'm on the wrong account. I wasn't going to go for the fusion in January or February. I was going to use 2 months to just kind of replenish all of my resources: silver, energy, shards. Potions, I pretty much have no potions, but I'm going to be going for her without a doubt. My bank balance may not like it, but I'm going to do it. Next up, we have probably my personal favourite. If I could buy her from the shop direct, I'll just do it. Here we go. We've got the Nia Giganti. As a Monster Hunter player, I cannot say how happy I am with how good she looks. Looks absolutely phenomenal. Near Gigante, you know, the big bastard from the final boss of Monster Hunter Worlds, hits like a truck. He's a pain in the ass to fight, especially like Monster Hunter World was my first Monster Hunter game. Going into that boss fight, not knowing how to complete it, being trampled on and thrown about the place. If I could go back and relive those first experiences of Monster Hunter again, I would, because it was just absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, that I haven't played a game. I play lots of games. I haven't played a game since that has given me that general wow factor as what Monster Hunter gave me the first time, and sometimes the first 3, 4, 5, 6 times I got to fight some of these bosses, because I didn't know anything about the Monster Hunter universe. I hadn't played all the other games. You know, like Pokemon I've grown up playing since I was a kid. So when a new Pokemon game comes out, I know the world, I know what's going to be in it. You're not really wowed by it, are you? Monster Hunter was a series I was introduced to by a friend, and I love it. Absolutely love it. It's phenomenal. But I digress. Let's look at her kit, okay? Attacks one enemy, places a 50% increase accuracy buff on this champion for 2 turns. Incredible for the rest of her kit, okay? Increased accuracy is going to help, especially with places that you're going to want to use her, and you're going to want to be having, you know, 4, 5, 600 accuracy. Moving on to the A2, attacks all enemies. Has a 75 books to 100% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. If the target is a boss, has again a 100% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns instead. Also decreases the turn meters of enemies under a stun debuff placed by this skill by 20%. Fills the turn meters of all allies by 10% if a 30% decreased speed debuff is placed by this skill instead. So again, you want loads of accuracy to try and land this. It books down to a 3 turn. Very good crowd control. I think that's going to be a kind of PvE wave one, but probably, you know, it could have some use. The stun could have some uses in, as it's an AoE in PvP, maybe a go second team or something like that. PvP is not really my area of expertise, so, but yeah, it could be useful. This is a big money maker though. Attacks all enemies, places a hex debuff for 2 turns, and a provoke debuff for 1 turn. That on its own is really, really cool. Then we take it up a step. If the target is a boss, we place the hex for 3 turns and the provoke for 2 turns. Now this goes down to a 3 turn cooldown, and don't forget you've got masteries that can increase the duration of hex and provoke. She is going to be able to lock down Hydra heads indefinitely when you've got her booked, if you have enough accuracy. And again, leads back to that A1. This is why you want the increased accuracy. You stick her at like 450, 500, 600 accuracy. That is going to be a phenomenal skill for Hydra. And this is a champion that I would have bought her just for the looks, but her kit is going to help many accounts progress. Like if you're not endgame, if you're an endgame player that's been playing Raid from day one, you probably don't struggle with any content in this game. The likelihood is you probably don't even watch these content videos from any creator on YouTube, because you have no need to know everything about the game. You know how all the mechanics work. You know, you can just look at a champion's kit and go, oh, that's a good champion or not a good champion. For those of us more newer, this would be game changing. She will change my account massively. You know, she might be the first champion that I could get that unlocks Nightmare Hydra for me, just on this skill alone. Anyway, I'm waffling again. Moving on to the passive. This is a very Scylla the Drake style passive, or something like a Doom Priest. Heals all allies by 10% of their max HP when attacking enemies under a hex debuff. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate. Increases this champion's defense by 5% each time this champion receives a hit from an enemy under a hex debuff. To me, I get her, I'm building her in regen and immortal, high accuracy, high HP, high defense, keeping her alive. I'm not worried about any damage from her. I want her landing her skills, and I want her to survive as long as possible. She may even pair well with another Hex champion as well. I think there could be some potentially good synergy with her A2, but also if you had a backup Hex champion, maybe something like a Mithrala, because she's bringing a strengthened shield, and you've got the backup Hex as well. I think that could be pretty cool, and obviously help with this. But yeah, she is a cool champion. By far my favourite out of all of them. I think that is just to do with the Near Gigante armour though. Even though the Rathalos armour looks cool, the Near Gigante armour looks better. Next to probably the Diablos armour in game are the 2 best armour sets in Monster Hunter without a doubt. Moving on, what else do we have? Knights Revenant. Let's go in and cover this guy quickly. So here we are. We have the Outrun Blade Master. Again, looks really, really cool. I like how they bounce them around the factions, but I do like how they've done the barbarian. It looks phenomenal. But yeah, not so much of a colour palette with this one, but it's still cool. Right, what's his gear? Let's have a look. He is, the other thing to notice as well, look, support champion. They've done really well at spreading out attack, defense, support, and you'll see afterwards HP. So he attacks one enemy, has a 40% chance of increasing the duration of 2 random buffs on an ally by 1 turn. So. Attacks all enemies, places a 60% increased defense and a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns. The shield is equal to 30% of this champion's max HP. So, again, for me, I don't have Brogni. I don't have any of these huge shield champions. He could be huge for pushing things like Hydra and Curse City and places like that, because he is going to help protect my team. 100k HP, bang on a massive shield and the increased defense. He's going to keep my team alive. That is huge, and it's on a 3 turn. Yeah, I really want to get him. Removes all debuffs from all allies and places a block debuff on them for 2 turns. If a boss is present in the current round, this buff is protected. Again, wow, it's like he's got built-in protection gear. You know, I just don't think that a lot of people understand just how solid these are going to be. Like, you know, these fusions come out and people go, it's crap, I don't, you know, this is a must-skip fusion, or, you know, this is it's a so-so champion, he's okay, but I don't need him. For accounts like myself, for newer accounts that can do fusions now, these are must-do fusions. Like, these are game-changing champions for us. So, yeah, I've got to go after the fusion, and then how we get these guys I'll talk about in a minute, because that is a worry. Anyway, his passive fills the champion turn meter by 5% every time a debuff is placed on them. So you don't want to be banging resistance on him, because you do want debuffs on him. Also heals this champion by 5% of the max HP whenever a debuff placed on them expires or is removed. So look, I'd be building here, again, if I can get him, I'd be building him tanky as hell, but I wouldn't be putting any resistance on him, because I would want those debuffs to land. He is a very cool champion. Again, I think you could almost put a team together with all of them and have like an instant Hydra or an instant clan boss team and do really, really well. The final one then for Talus, he is a Dark Elf, but he is a Void Legendary, so he's going to be incredibly hard to get hold of, unfortunately. He is a HB based nuker, and that could be worrying. We'll have to wait and see what the hell Hades site says in terms of multipliers. Good defense, very low HP for HP based nuker, and that is the worry. HP nukers in the game don't tend to scale well. I think Magnar scales obviously very well, that's why he's so good. I don't have any other HP based nukers. Is Mountain King a HP based nuker? Let me check. I do have Mountain King, and I do use him, but is he a HP based nuker, or is it just building? No, I've done it again. Is he just, no, he's an attack based champion. But we build him with HP and let it scale off of that, because you build him like 100k in bolster, as I've done, and he does really well. Right, okay. So, yeah, you know, Mountain King's another one who does scale very well. But other than that, I don't personally know of the other HP champs that are any good, because I don't have any of them. But I do know they're not looked at as favourably, because they just don't tend to scale very well with their HP. But what does he do? Because he does have a very cool kit that if he hits hard, I think he is going to be kind of meta changing for the arena, but I do think that a lot of people are missing out on how good he could be in the PvE as well. So he attacks an enemy, he ignores 15% of the target's defense if it's critical. Well, it's always going to be critical on a damage dealer. Also has a 20% chance of granting an extra turn. See, when they word things like this, to me, it almost makes me think, like, why do they word it like this? He's going to attack an enemy. He will ignore 15% of the target's defense if the attack is critical. Well, you're building a damage dealer, he's going to have crit rate. It then makes me always really pay attention to their gear, in case there is something in it that says, well, maybe I don't want to build them with crit rate, and you have to give something else up, but we'll see. A2 then, 4 turn, goes down to a 3 turn, attacks one enemy, will ignore strengthen, stone skin, increased defense and ally protection. Also ignores 15% of the target's defense if it's critical. Well, it's going to be critical. Decreases the target's attack by 10%. Stacks up to 30. So we could reduce the target's attack by 30%. That's huge. That on its own could have big ramifications on how long you go in particular fights. I think that's really cool. What do we go on to? A1, A2, A3. Attacks all enemies, ignores 15% of the target's defense. If it's critical, it will be critical. Decreases the target's defense by 5%. So now, look, we've got a really cool synergy where they hit us for less, and we get to hit them for more. So that is a really cool synergy. And I think that when we get skills like this, a lot of people look at it and they go, oh, cool, nuker. Yeah, okay, they're going to be a cool nuker. But actually, they could help your team in other ways. You know, it's almost like having built-in cruelty and an increased defense. So, there's other ways to look at some of these skills without always looking at them being how hard are they going to hit? Oh, they don't hit hard. Well, that champion is useless. Because that's not always the case. Especially, like I keep saying, for newer accounts that don't have, you know, these OP champions. These could make me go somewhere like Hydra. They could make me last a lot longer. They could make my damage dealers deal more damage, meaning I could put more defensive stats on them, meaning the fight lasts longer, which means overall I get more damage. So he could help in other ways, even if he doesn't hit hard, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Anyway, let's move on. A1 and A3. Attacks one enemy. Will ignore 50% of the target's defense. Fills this champion's turn meter by 50% if it's critical. Damage inflicted by this skill cannot be decreased by enemy passive skills or masteries except by the passive skills of bosses. So again, he is reading very much arena. That's, I think, what they have in mind when they do this. This champion as well also opens up something else I want to talk about, but that will be another video because I don't want to drag this one out too long. I've already lost my chain of thought and waffled on longer than I intended. Damage inflicted by this skill cannot be increased by either this champion's masteries or ally passive skills except when attacking bosses. This is a secret skill and only becomes available when any 3 of this champion's skills were used in a round. So again, I don't think this comes into PvP. Maybe live arena, because those fights do drag on, especially in the higher ends of live arena. But I don't see this skill being good or useful in normal 3v3 or normal arena. I do see it being very useful in, again, Hydra, possibly Clan Boss, Doom Tower bosses. You know, I don't look at being a newer player. I keep harping on about it, but being a newer player, I don't just look at champion and go, he's an arena champion, that's all I'm going to use him for, that's all he's good for, that must be him, his sole purpose. I have to look at champions and go, well, where else can I use these champions to help progress my account? And I do think he brings a lot more than just being an outright damage dealer. Again, we'll have to wait and see how hard he hits. But yeah, he's a very, very cool looking champion. Overall, I'm super excited for the crossover, Monster Hunter, Raid. It's going to be phenomenal. There is one thing that worries me, and I do believe I have it open still. Here, look, this is what worries me, okay? I think it actually starts up here. Limited time collaboration, okay? So it is a limited time collaboration, okay? We have between now and March 5th, I think. Yeah, look, the event runs from January through till March. Now, they actually say this crossover is yet another step in it. It expands the character roster with real-life celebrities like Ninja. As a newer player, I don't have Ninja. Everywhere I look, I try to progress through content, and it's Ninja, 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 Ninja. If you have Ninja and Godseeker, you can do this content. If you have Ninja and Chris, you can do this content. If you have Bockney and Ninja, you can do this content. Everything has Ninja or Geo or Duchess or something stupidly powerful, and most of them are either really hard to get or like Ninja, you just flat out cannot get them, and I hate it. And I know I'm not going to be the only person that hates this. So this makes me really worry that after March 5th, this is going to be extended here. The following champions cannot be summoned from shards, just like Rhonda is in here. Yeah, where else is he? Oh, look, they actually have Rathalos, Zenogi, Blade Master. So actually, yes, look, they have been added in here. So we cannot get them from shards. So, actually, do you know what? I just hit myself in the head with a keyboard. For no reason, because the Rathalos is the 7-day login and the Zenogi is going to be the fusion, so actually that's fine. I worry though that these other ones, the Sharpshooter is already in here, Rhonda is already in here, Ninja is already in here. We're not going to be able to get these really cool game-changing champions after March, and the worry is they say they're going to come in in-game events. We know that they're going to come in something like a champion chase, and it's going to be the top of the board. You're going to, one person it's going to go onto the global leaderboards or something like that, where you have to be at the very top or maybe the top 10 to get the champion. That's going to be horrible. Or it's going to be something like a Tormin that we've just had. I went for Tormin and it was stupidly expensive. Not real money expensive, but in terms of in-game resources. I'm energy dry, I'm silver dry, I'm potion dry. I'm just out of all resources, and that's going to make the fusion incredibly hard for me. So look, amazing champions coming with the Monster Hunter crossover that I am excited for. I am worried that Plarium are going to do Plarium things, and dare I say, screw us on getting the other champions, unless we're whales and quackens and want to, you know, put a second or third mortgage on our house just to buy shards to try to pull a champion. You know, they're probably going to, and don't fall for the trick either, guys. Like, they're going to do this. I have no doubt they're going to do this progressive chance. Okay, pull champions. If you get, here we go. Look, if I pull a epic champion and it's not him, then I'll get a 15% chance. Then it goes up to a 20 and a 25% chance, okay? We've all seen plenty of videos, and I've experienced it myself as well, because I've tried to pull for a couple of them already since the progressive chance has come out, where I've actually hit the 25% chance and then pulled 3, 4, 5, 6 epics after that and still not got the champion that I have had as my progressive chance. So don't fall for that. It's not as good as everyone thinks it is. In fact, the progressive chance seems more like a kick in the balls than actually something good. And I just don't think people realise how bad it actually is. It just makes them think it's good, and it tries to draw you into spending more money. You're looking at, oh, well, I'm on a 25 times chance now. So if I actually keep pulling, you know, oh, I've got to be guaranteed to get that champion, haven't I? Surely I've got to be guaranteed to get it on a 25% chance. I'm going to carry on pulling. Oh, I'll just spend another tenner, or I'll just spend another 15 quid to try and... Don't fall for it, guys. Don't go down the rabbit hole. It's a load of crap. It is what it is at the end of the day. It's RNG, whether you pull a champion or not. And that is my big worry with the Monster Hunter champs, because they're really, really cool and they're really powerful, and that is going to be another video on its own, the whole power creep thing that we're having in Raid, that is getting worse and worse and worse. But look, I've waffled on, unfortunately, for too long as it is. Guys, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I hope you're as excited as I am for a Monster Hunter crossover. But yeah, that's the video. The champions look cool. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Are you excited for the champions? I know I'm excited for them, but I am worried that we're going to get screwed in how we get them. But yeah, thanks for watching. Have an awesome day, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.